Welcome everyone to the Pom and LekDog show. Sorry about the late start. My camera just decided to have a little bit of a hissy fit just as we were about to begin. But we are on my own. We are all by myself. Due to LekDog having a power cut last minute. So it's all rushed. But welcome to the off-season. We've got a bit of a prediction special this week, and we'll have a little bit of a Q&A. If you've got any off-season draft content, questions, Ryan and Mel, good day to you. I hope we're all doing well. If you can do me an absolute solid and hit the like and subscribe button, that would be grouse. Really does help the channel out, and we're smashing the subscribers out at the minute. But let's get straight into it. I'm good, Damo, mate. Hope you're well. Saw you were in the hospital the other day, so sending my love and regards to you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. So let's get into it, and we've got a few things to look at. But let's have a look at the biggest risers for next year. So those in the chat, g'day, bevtone. Let me know who you think is going to be that side that rises next year. I mean, obviously the media are really hot, as they are every year on Essendon, because evidently having a trade period where you get ins makes you favourites for it. I think this is really hard, this one. Looking last year, I didn't, Chabby Joe, mate, I didn't. So let me know who you think are the risers next year. Good day, Quenton. I've got a feeling that if you look at the ladder last year, and let's have a wee look at the ladder last year together, shall we? Let's jog our old memories of it. But let's have a look. So as you can see, we'll get rid of that bigger risers thing, but these are the teams. So what do you guys think? I've got a feeling that this side here is the biggest risers. I've got a feeling that Gold Coast Suns are definitely going to be that side that flips up. I actually think they're going to be a sneaky top 8 chance. They are all the time. They are. Crows, Lou. I agree. I think the Crows do. My feeling, though, is, you see, like I was trying to look at this. I think the Crows will finish 9th. All right? Which is a rise of what? 5 positions. The Crows, I feel sneak into the 8. So do I have them in the top 4? I don't. Hawks as well. Great call by you, Tony. I think the Hawks are gonna deceive. I'm good, mate. How are you, Jesse? Good day, Team Mello, mate. Great to see you all here. They're my risers. I really do think Gold Coast are going to be really, really strong. Base that purely on a coach. I hate to be that guy. That leads us on to the next one, the big fallers. The big fallers. So who do we think is going to drop out of the 8? I suppose that's basically what the big fallers means. You know who I think are really going to plummet? I think St Kilda are plummeting. So much so that I think that they'll be where Richmond are. I think St Kilda will finish 13th next year. That's my bold call. I think Port are definitely there as well. I've got a feeling that Port may do okay. I think they'll sneak just because of their away advantage. It's such a thing. Freo, I could see them being 18th. I mean, I've got St Kilda dropping, 5 places? I could see Freo being, just out of interest, chat. Who, if you were a betting person, who would you have at 18th? Who do you think is going to be 18th? Is it St Kilda? Is it West Coast Eagles again? Is it North? Is it Free? You know what? I have got a sneaky feeling Fremantle, West Coast Eagles, the winner of that, if that's early, may change my mind. I do think West Coast will still finish bottom, but it'll be interesting what Freo do in the draft. Be interesting what they do in the draft. Eagles, Freo, Richmond last, West Coast again. I agree, Team Ella. I agree, Christian. It's when you look at how bad they were, like it just feels so hard to tip anyone else against West Coast, doesn't it? I mean, like, you've got to be proper bad. No disrespect to West Coast, obviously. No disrespect. Who do we think's winning it next year? I like this call by Jacob. Who do you think's winning it next year? So obviously you've got Collingwood Premiers there. Says good day to you, Carlton. I reckon we're a big chance. Big chance. Who's going pick one next year? I should have opened up my draft. I shall tell you through the medium of dance. Next year, pick one will be between Finn O'Sullivan. Well, it's Finn O'Sullivan. I won't cheat. I won't cheat. We've got Brisbane, Carlton, Melbourne, Baggers. G'day, Big AD. How are you doing? Hey, I feel honoured. You've had A-list celebrities. Now you're seeing me. Brizzy, Carlton, Brizzy. You know my issue back to back? They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to have the tails wagging. Giants, Lions. You know what I'll say about Brisbane? I just get the feeling that they're always going to be the bridesmaid. I really, really feel like they're always going to be the bridesmaid. I don't trust them to win a flag. And I think the ease in which Collingwood beat them, I think that's going to be the mental frailty. The mental frailty. Let's get on to the next thing. So this one is for the draft. Bold draft call. So put in chat your bold draft calls for this year. This year, right? What you think it is. I've been pondering this. Pom's pondering. My bold call, I've got two. So I've got one that's a trade. I reckon Adelaide do 10 and 20 for 8. And I reckon they get pick 8 to Geelong. I reckon that is the trade. I reckon that'll be a live trade as well. I've got a feeling, and I'm really happy about this, that I've got a feeling that because it's already been confirmed today that North are debating Dan Curtin, which if you watch my mock draft, I had him going there. I reckon there is a shock in the top 5, which makes Adelaide press the button. Hey, pondering with my accent as well. Camparelli's one of them. One of them's a chance. One of them's a chance, but I think more logically, they'll be in the early 20s. They'll be late teens, and the other one mid-20s. Hey, that's a great Quinella. Love me the Blues. How good was Glenn Maxwell, just quietly? Pom giving Australians props there. Do I think we can get 8? You see, I think Adelaide, looking at what they need, I think they'll only make 2. I think they'll only make 2 selections. They'll be happy with 2 selections in this draft. And going a bit later, I think. And I think they'll maximise. I think we can't. I don't think we can gamble. I don't think we can gamble as good as them. So, yeah, I agree with that. You see, at pick 8, it's probably around the money, but I think that's still a little bit earlier for Caleb Windsor, which I think Geelong will know. So I think going down to 10 will make sense. I think, you know what? I think the best place to be in this draft is in the 20s. And I'm going to go on record here. Here's my second bold draft call. Someone in that 20s will be top 3 when we do this redraft in 5 years' time. Next year's first, I reckon it'll be traded next year, live. I could see it being a late trade. This is a great question. That's why I think they will trade it. I've been hot on this. I think they've got to trade it. 2 and 3 for 123. You see, I think if I was North Melbourne, I think 2 and 3 are perfect. If I'm West Coast, I want 2 and 3, right? But I do think you've got to trade up. So if I would be, you see, I looked at that pick from Geelong, and I just think North are in the position. But depends what you do at live trade. Live trade. I mean, 17 and 18 for me in this draft are too early for me when you've got all the picks North have got. But, I mean, 2 and 3's got to be in, Stewson. Has to be. And it's overs, but you've got to do it. Christian, and finally they did it. I said that this is why I've been putting it out to the ether. Kai Bruton, I agree. And you know what? Why I think it works for Adelaide, right, is, do you know what I mean? That if Adelaide do trade back, right, with their second pick, with that pick from Geelong, and they look to trade down, I reckon I wouldn't be surprised to see that Adelaide take Connor O'Sullivan. I wouldn't be surprised to see them take Phoenix Gothard and really mirror the keep Murray Bushrangers together and back your system in. Yeah, it's a great idea. When is the national draft? Well, we will be doing a live watch along for it, right? And it's the 20th of November, I think. From memory, let me just get my... Yeah, 20th of November. Hey, that's sad that I know that off the top of my head. G'day, Tony. So I think that's it. Give us any other bold calls. We'll get some draft questions. Your bold trade calls for next year. Who do you think's requesting a trade? Who do you think is requesting a trade next year? I've got a feeling, here's Pom's bold call, right, next year. Bailey Smith, Collingwood Football Club. Bailey Smith, Collingwood Football Club. I reckon that's a good shout. Can you imagine if Brodie Grundy gets traded again? I dread to think. Petty, that's a good shout. It's a good shout. Harry Mackay. Jesus, I could see that. Cadman will be an interesting one because GWS have put so much time in, right? And they're talking about him a lot. Do you know what I mean? Smith to Collingwood makes sense. Just got a feeling it's a left field trade. I always get the feeling, this is Pom's theory, right? Do you want to know what my theory is behind that? I thought that Henry deal was very, very easy, which usually alludes to me that there is like a little gentleman's agreement a bit later. And I reckon that's the gentleman's agreement. Do you know what I mean? That gentleman's agreement, right? So I reckon that gentleman's agreement is that Geelong don't go in for him. I don't see why Geelong would. So I reckon there's like some kind of gentleman's agreement along the way that we won't get in the way of your business in the next couple of years. I've got a feeling that Graham Wright did all that hard work to get Collingwood here, that they're just going to try and mirror a Geelong and stay in the same cycle, not do it. Melican to Geelong, I like that. I do like that. Jacob, I agree. I can see the argument if he's not getting proper game time, and there's a lot of clubs in Melbourne that would give him it. But I just feel that they've put so much. I think, just quietly, I think he'll be a star. I would love Butters. I would love Zach Butters. Zach Butters is top of my shopping list. He's my fave. What Tassie players will be seeking? It's a tough one, this. I have got a feeling that I think, not this trade period coming, the next trade period, there'll be a huge name player. There'll be a huge name player that goes over to sort them out. I think the AFL has got to do that and have that pre-planned. I get the feeling that Tassie are getting better and better. That I don't think you'll see many Tassie players go there. It'll be more players at the end of their tenure. I can't see players who are in the draft this year or next year going. This is my argument, though, that I feel like the AFL should give them picks. In my opinion, I would like to see the AFL give them picks now. But it's an interesting one because, the Tasmanian players, do you know what I mean? It's like there isn't a huge a huge plethora of them in the system at the moment, is there? Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, there isn't a huge plethora of, like, ones that you would say that are obvious, that are really standing out. Do you know what I mean? But it'll be interesting. It's going to be one of them wait and sees. Dusty to the Gold Coast, Cam Rayner to the Blues, Max Holmes to the Pies. I could see that. That's been mentioned today, is it? In it. That's been mentioned today. I like that one. Cadman, yeah, I agree. I agree. The only way I can see him being traded is they draft a key forward this year and he flies. And that happens. That's my only way I could see Cadman leaving. But I just think they've been so bullish on Cadman and worked so hard to get him that they do it. TDK staying Dusty to Gold Coast would make sense. You know, I would be surprised if Tasmania were coming in a little bit earlier. Dusty's the kind of player that you'd want to retire there, wouldn't you? I mean, what, 2028, so 5 years from now. So someone who's 25 now, who's going to be a star, you would say would be the big name player. Do you know what I mean? I think that makes them a good prospect, though, Christian. I really do. But those are my bold trade calls. The boldest call I've got, right, next year is Beveridge is sat at the bye and replaced by Simpson at the end of the year. There it is. And I've got some pomming reasoning behind it, right? I've got some pommy reasoning, right? Right? And that is that they brought in a couple of new people, didn't they, in the back room? They brought in Don Pike. Now, I don't reckon Don Pike will enjoy being the CEO. I think he wants to be creative. So I reckon they give him the horns. They give him the bull at the horns, right? To take over at West Coast. I reckon Simpson goes. And I reckon Simpson goes to the Bulldogs. Because for some reason, Simpson hasn't lost his appeal, has he? People still love him. Hinkley? Jacob, you know, don't you? Jamara Ugle-Hagan to West Coast. They're going to have a lot of picks. Sean Darcy. That is a great bold call. Stewson, that's very intelligent, analytical thinking. I like that, mate. Good point. Could see it. Ash Hansen. I could see it. He's been overlooked for a few roles, which always makes me think. But I've just got a feeling. I reckon that the Doggies administration won't bring in a new name. They'll go with an established brand name. And they'll look at Simpson and go, look, his list is cactus. I think they'll look at that. And I think you look at what Simpson did at West Coast to what the Doggies list is, it's probably the same. He's got talent that's not tapped. I think he's a good coach at untapping potential. I think the issue is at the moment, that rebuild is the slowest rebuild you've ever seen. Yeah, this is a weird... You know what? Like, earlier in the comment section, someone mentioned Ken Hinkley, sacked by the bye. And he always is sacked pre-season, isn't he? But how does Beveridge get away with it? Because how that side isn't winning flags over the last 4 years is beyond me. Yeah, I get the feeling he's gone. He's gone ski. Timmy English to the Eagles. They need a ruckman. Is Bailey Williams going to be long-term? Matt Flynn they've brought in? You'd go Tim English, wouldn't you? Liam Baker. I like Liam Baker. Audi Dusty. Brownlow medal prediction chat. Give me a Brownlow medal. I am going with, and this isn't biased, I genuinely think it will happen. I think Sam Walsh. Sam Walsh or Nicky D. But I'm going to stick my neck on the line. Sammy Walsh. I think Sam Walsh will get... Got a feeling this year, Sam Walsh will get a more advanced role and Cripper and Hewitt do the heavy lifting. And Sam Walsh. Errol Goulden is a great shout. Bont is a great shout. Actually, you know what? My mate rose a really interesting point the other day that the last 3 disappointments have won the Brownlow the next year. And Bont, everyone said is robbery. I actually think Nicky Dacos was robbed this year with some of the votes he got, but could see it. Sam Walsh is a popular choice. See? Zach Merritt, global. Tell you what, if Essendon, heaven forbid, finished top 10, probably got a shout. Nick Dacos, yeah, he's a natural 3-point getter. He's a natural 3-vote getter. Bont, he deserves it. I've got a sneaky feeling, doing bold calls, Bont never wins it. I feel like Bont's never going to win it. I feel like he had such... The way Nick Dacos polled this year, if you knew that before and didn't know the winner, you would have said Bont walked it in. And Bont was robbed some of them votes. So I get the feeling Bont will do it. Albert, great point. I mean, Lockie Neal, he buys them. Great call. Great call, Chris. And Hansen was at Bulldogs as well. My point about them, I think they'll go established coach. I don't think Brisbane, I don't think Bulldogs will go untried and tested. Always the bright. I've just got a feeling there's something against him. There's something against Bont because it happens every year. The 3-vote game, you've got stonewalled, he gets 2 or 1. So that says to me, Lou's got a great point here. Cripps was well below his best, polled so well. So that's one of them that you always look at, right? And Walsh and Cripps poll really well. So obviously, whatever they do, the umpires like Lockie Neal. And whatever Bont does, they don't. Tom Green. Great shout. I like that call. You know what? I haven't done my full ladder, right, in depth, but I think Hawks will at some point be sniffing for finals. It's just if that young side can hold out. Just got a feeling. Great shout. Dawson at Adelaide, definitely. Libba does take votes off him. I feel like this year was the best year for Bont, though, because they've pissed McRae off, who's usually the annoying player. I feel like it should be. Well, Dan, great first name. Right? Great first name. Coleman medal. I reckon Charlie goes 3 in a row. What do you think, chat? Charlie 3 in a row. I think Charlie goes 3 in a row. You know what? It's interesting you said 100 because I said that to Terry last year. He wins it back to back and then gets the 300, then gets the 100. I get the feeling that he does. I get that. Let's go top 3, chat. Top three Coleman, right? Number 1, Charlie Curnow, right? Number 2, right? Number 2. Who is going to finish number 2? Number 2. Let me have a look. Let's look at the TPI projections for next year. Here we are. And then we'll sort it out right now, chat. I'm going to go with number 1, Charlie Curnow, 101. Number 2, I'm going to go Toby Green, 68. And number 3, I'm going to go Oscar Allen, 66. Oof, Jesus. Curnow, Larky, Tex. Good shout. Mitchell Lewis. Mate, I agree, Jacob. He's a very talented player, and I think now he's got that help with Gunston there as well. He's going to really fly. Golden. Hey, you never know. Golden's a great shout, actually. He snags, doesn't he? Nick Larkey, Charlie, Larkey, Jez, Charles Walker Larkey. Chills, I've seen your question. I'll answer it in the question section, my friend, so stay tuned. Big call, Danner. Jesus. I like that. Colonel Lynch Walker, Larkey, Mitch Lewis. You see, I'm doing it with the Harry Mackay philosophy. He's their only goal kicker. So Oscar Allen this year, where did he finish? 7th. All right. He's going to, I reckon he'll do more. Imagine 1 and 2. I like that. I like that, chat. I like that. Right. Rising Star, chat. Who do you think is going to win the Rising Star this year? Let me know in the comments. Right. Is it going to be do we think really it's going to be the main man, Harley Reid? I don't think he wins it, to be honest. I really don't think he wins the Rising Star. Who are your predictions? You know, I'm going to go straight away with who I think. Colby McCurcher wins the Rising Star. Yep, great shout. He's eligible. I like this, Colby. Falstrop. Binns is eligible. Harley, Reid, Tholstrop. He'll stand out. He'll stand out. Golden will definitely be up there for the Brownlow. Spot on. Colby. George Wardlaw. I like that pick. Nate Caddy. George Wardlaw's a good shout. Nate Caddy is a great pick. If he goes somewhere like GWS or Geelong, it's a great pick. Even Adelaide. Adelaide, I could see it. I could see even. I could see him if he goes to Adelaide. Yeah, so it's 21, right? And it's how many games is it? It's still that season game, isn't it? Played 10 or fewer games. How many games has Cadman played? He'd be close to 10. Surely. It'd be close. 12 matches, so he's ineligible. That would be a good shout. It would be a good shout if he was eligible. So it'd be an interesting one. You're saying 20 games. Let's have a look. Tell you what, we'll check. Played 10 or fewer games before the season starts and has to be under 21 by January of that year. So, yeah, 10 games. That's stiff. Cadman's played 12. That's insane. He's really snuck them games in, hasn't he? Interesting one. But, yeah, I like that. I really do think McCulture will win it. McCulture will win it. I think it's silly money on Harley. I just think where Harley will end up, probably North or Eagles. If he's at Eagles, he's definitely not winning it. And at North, he's got a chance. He's got a huge chance. He's got a huge chance. So take that as you will. Take that as you will. Ask a question. So chat, ask a question. I've got a few little things for this. I'll answer yours. What do I think Carlton are going to be doing with their first 2 picks? It's a very, very good question. So what I'll do is let's see if I can bring this up. Right, so will this work? See if you can see this, chat. Tell me if you can see this. Hopefully that works. Right. So ask you questions and I'll automatically correlate them. But it's stiff, Kai. I do believe it works, though, on what Champ Starter says. So even if you're an unused sub, that counts. So what you've got here, can I make that bigger? So what I've done here is, you might have watched this video. I hope you have anyway. But these are the players in order of my preference. So you can see there you've got quite a lot of little sheets here. Do you know what I mean? You've got a lot of little things. Do you know what I mean? I've got all these. This is quite cool. This is my profile fit code. So TPI churns out player coded numbers of what might hit. So ask some questions if you want about some of the draftees, but this is what I've got them in order of what I like. So this would be my power ranking per se. You'll see their age, obviously. That's as of today. And you'll see a star system. So 5 stars, basically I'm thinking A-star recruit, brilliant recruit, dynasty player, things like that, potentially. 4-star is a very good player, so someone that is in the best 10 in your system. Do you know what I mean? 3 stars, very good player, best 22 player. 2 stars, some work to do, definitely a role player. That doesn't also go against your ceiling as well. So you could surpass that and become a 4-star. It's just saying, as it stands at the moment, we see you very similar to your role players in your side. So role players, examples, players like Fogarty, people like that. And then you've got your 1-stars, which are very projects, which means raw and untapped. And so that's a great question, says. So why that is, right, is quite simply, some of the players like Jake Rogers, because they're tied to clubs, they've had better training and they'll probably impact earlier, right? If they're a 4-star in my system, it just means that they're going to take a while. So you'll see quite a few key position players are higher, but it means that their development and your payoff. So it kind of works off the payoff as well. In the terms of what I'm trying to say is, how soon will the return of investment be? So someone there, like you see John Croft, a 4-star recruit, in my opinion, on where he'll be about here when it's all said and done. But it's going to take him a while to get there. James Leake also goes on where this power ranking is where other people have got them as well, where their hype is, where I suspect them to be changed. So someone like Darcy Wilson, he's a 4-star recruit, but I don't see him going in the top 5. Do you know what I mean? Mitchell Edwards is a great one here. 4 stars, really slid down. But the Ruckman's got everything you want. You've got everything you want. So what I'll do is, if I go here, how have I done this? Okay, cool. So what we can do, if I add... Can I add a... Of course I can. Okay, so let's do this. What we'll do is, if we just get rid of that, there. So there we'll see where their picks are superimposed. So to answer your question, Jules, this is what we'll see. So this is what we'll see. So if it goes the way I think it will, which is always a risk, but you'd imagine that that's Harley Reid, right? So obviously that's Gold Coast, right? So Gold Coast jumped there. So by process of the horrible AFL, that goes down 1. So we'd imagine if we do this, so you'd imagine Gold Coast. So he will go there, right? He will be gone. Gold Coast will take Ethan Reid, and I think they take Dan Curtin. Personally, I think they take Dan Curtin. I don't see why they would take Zane Dersma with the players they've got. Now, going back to that comment you made about Taron Thomas, can play mid-forward, slot across the half-forward. Do they need a Zane Dersma now when a crafty mid-forward is all over this area where their next picks are? Where they could take a Lance Collard, who is equally as exciting. Probably haven't got as a higher ceiling as Zane Dersma, but equally in a good system, they could do, right? You'd imagine that these two players then go next, a big Gold Coaster out. So Hawthorn would get Zane Dersma in this model then, based on that. Then we've got Melbourne. Melbourne will go Riley Sanders. I'd imagine Connor O'Sullivan ends up at GWS based on this model. Nick Watson then Geelong. So where would Carlton be with all these picks? Carlton are probably looking at their picks being about here. Somewhere about here. So I think Collingwood are going to be really interesting. I had them taking Lance Collard and Colton Tholstrup going next. I did do a mock draft, didn't I? There you are. There's my mock draft, I believe. There we are. There's my mock draft. Right. He's rested forward. He's actually rested down back, the majority. Do you know what I mean? Are actually right down back. Do you know what I mean? Right down back. So he's actually modelled his game on Max Gawn, which is a big thing. Mate, it's an opinion-based business. I spend a lot of time on this. So my power rankings, I don't do it team-based, if you know what I mean, Kai. I do it as if I was the list manager, and if you gave me pick one and I had a shopping list. Do you know what I mean? I do it that way. But if I do this for you, this might make it easier of how I've done it. And then we can discuss this, right? You ready? Right. So let's do this. So that's that. That's that. That's that. That's that. That's that. Oh, this isn't my... I don't think this is. I don't know what this is. We'll play with it anyway. We'll play with it. I think this was my... Oh, this was a little game we were playing. I remember it now. I remember this. I remember this. Right, so... So what this was here was us playing about with a needs analysis. So that's Hawthorn. Yeah. So that's it. I mean, it's a tough one, but I think when you get to Carlton's, let's zoom that in. If you look around these picks here, all right, in an ideal world, I don't think Harry Di Matteo will be there. I don't think Colton Tholstrup will be there. I don't think Archie Roberts will be there, right? I don't think Lance Collard will be there. So I would say, looking at this, so this was... There we are. This is the updated version. There we are. So, I mean, for me, if I could have anyone that I think will be there, without a shadow of a doubt, it would be Ashton Moore and Charlie Edwards, if I could have them. If they are all there, because people are linking us with Phoenix Gothard, and he's more of a winger than he is a forward, so I don't see the point of Carlton taking him, right? Same with Jack Deline. I don't see the point of Carlton taking him. Charlie Edwards is basically what we wished Dow would be. So in an ideal world, I'd love Mitch Edwards, Charlie Edwards, but I'd love Mitch Edwards and Ashton Moore. And that would be dependent on Murkoff. I think he'll be best available, Matt Gondolfo. And I'm telling you now, do you know what I mean? From 20 to 30, you take best available. You literally take best available. All the teams there in that 20 to 30 range, you take best available. All day long, take best available. And how that works. So like Collingwood, Colton Tholstrup, based on the pick matches above, right? It makes sense. They would be 20 there, 21. Do you know what I mean? Harry Demisaya, it would make sense. It would make sense going that avenue because not really any side here has it. Ari Schoenmaker's a really interesting one. He's been really, really hyped. Do you know what I mean? Really, really, really hyped. Really hyped. Now, my issue with him is a lot of these teams have got halfbacks, right? Which I think most mock drafts, not big in my own work up, don't take into account what that club has. So I think if you actually look at the club, why would they? Why would you take a halfback? Do you know what I mean? Why would you take a halfback when you've already got a few on there? So he is a pure halfback flank. So outside of North, I don't see an incredible need. St Kilda's need alludes to a Harry Di Matteo, Colton Tholstrup, Lons Collard more than it does a halfback. And if you are taking a halfback early, it's Riley Hardiman all day for me, right? James Lee, Riley Hardiman are the best two in the draft by Flemington straight. So, and I love Tassie, and it's the Tassie tax, remember? But Angus Hastie, for me, is an absolute star. An absolute star. Cooper Simpson, so I interviewed him on this channel. Cooper is an amazing young human being, and we are seeing in the AFL quite a lot that players who are leaders are really important. For me, Cooper is brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. In the terms of when you look at his work ethic, working with the younger kids, that's the kind of thing that you want. And then when you look at his game, he ticks all the boxes. And had he not had injuries this year, would be a bona fide top 20 player. So that's where I think Nick Austin will go. I think Nick Austin will definitely go NGAs, teams that are linked to NGAs. And he'll definitely look to suit the profile of the football club. So, or massive sliders. So Ashton Moore, I think, is a massive slider. And I think if you find that 22 probably becomes 24 and 26, something around that. I'll have to do the maths. I am going to do a full selection video this week before we have a live draft with some list managers that we're going to do. So that makes it even harder when I'm not picking. But we'll try and get through the full picks. I've got anywhere between 56 and 60 being taken in the draft. I think it'll be very interesting what happens. So some people have linked Ari Showmaker account. He's a really interesting one. He's like a bit like Lockie Cowan last year. He went from 50 to about 20, and I had him like top 10. So it's going to be really interesting. 27, yeah, it'd be something like that, depending by Cleary. We've done a few. There's a few up there. We're still working on some more. They've been really hard to get this year. There's been a bit of a media blanket this year. It's been a bit of a nightmare. But that's what it is. And if you are interested, these are next year at the moment. So this was done just at the end of the conclusion of their season. I usually start working on this really heavily usually about December time. I'll put a bit more. So this is very raw, but this is just for you guys and girls to see, right? For you guys and to see. But this is next year's draft class, so 2024. So people will have an eye on this, and you can see a lot of sides trading into this one. And there's a reason. So you'll see, like a lot of drafts, key PD players don't heavily feature because genuinely, the last year of their draft, they're in a bona fide system where they are the stars. Currently, you're seeing them play third tall, third defender, things like that. So this is a really interesting. So anyone who's interested will go through this a lot, right? We'll go through this a lot. But as you can see, do you know what I mean? There's a few players there, and what I'll do just to make it a bit easier for you is if I hide these, you can see who they're linked with as well, because there's quite a few. There's quite a few, right? There is a lot of midfielders. Generally, when you look at your projections earlier, the midfielders have got your midfield kind of down pat. But you can see Brisbane, Hawthorn in the mix. Adelaide, Gold Coast, as usual. Watch out for Lombard as well. I reckon he will rise. There's a few other. Sydney's boys. These are really interesting. You asked about Sydney. Joe Cochran and Mitch Woods. Look out for them because you can see one's a key PD and one is in that range. So there'll be one of these boys that'll be top 15. How it usually works when they get a full-time position. Some really solid players here. You can see here the Camparellis slowly rising as well. I suspect when we come back to this January and we start running the calculations on what the lists are, that will change. That will change as well because I do correlations on that. Do correlations on that as well as we once the draft is concluded. That will change the order. So that will be very, very interesting. Very interesting of what we do. But that's it. I mean, let's have a look, right? So these are. Tell you what we'll do. We'll have a little play around. How will the draft be affected? Right. So, yeah, because you got to remember all these picks here will be deleted. So they will be deleted in these deals because I'd say the bid will probably come there. Let's be harsh. I reckon people will start bidding there. So that'll be yeah. So that's the debt at 845 is that. So that's the debt. So the debt for that will be that with about 200 to go. So that's 2. So that'll be 1 minus. So 2. 21. Another match there, 22. Yeah, I would guesstimate Carlton would be 24. 24 and about 28. It'll be about that. So that's it. But that's quite fun. They are indeed. They are indeed. But, I mean, I think they'll stay. I think they'll stay. It'll be interesting. I don't think Ben... I think Lucas has got the chance to rise. But I don't think Ben will rise too much. Reason being, outside mid, that pinch hits in the mid, in that draft class, with, as you've seen, the people who are already above him in the system, with the fact he's an NGA, which is, unless they change the system, which, according to the media, that article is they're discussing changing the system, but it won't be enacted until Tasmania comes in. And the only change will be, it will be sorted out before the draft pool, which means it'll be the same rules. It'll be done pre-advance, which would help Carlton out even more, to be honest, if it is a merge of the old bidding system. So, yeah, I would say, if I was a betting man, I would be shocked to see Carlton have to have more than 1,500 debt, 2,000 debt. 2,000 would be the tops. I reckon 1,570 would be the debt. Unfortunately, Ben, he had a power cut and he's not back till 1. The extra salary cap. You know what? Chat, talk to me. I feel that when we look at the AFL, instead of giving picks, I would love to see salary cap extensions for 3 years so they get actual talent in and then it resets back to its norm after 2 or 3 years, right? I think picks make it worse because you know what? 2 things happen with picks. They fuck the draft up. These players get delisted don't go as well, or they trade them out for stupid fees. I actually think that either you give them picks that must be traded or a salary cap extension. I think these comp picks and stuff are useless, particularly with Tasmania coming in, because I reckon Geelong, unless they do something this year, will be looking at comp. It's quality. I like that. Well, I mean, if you look, let me bring up my sheet off camera so I can talk AFL provisional 24. So based on the ladder position this year, so my projection is based on the ladder prediction this year, right? So it's like it resets again, if you know what I mean, right? So basically just imagine 2024 repeats 2023, right? Just imagine that. I know that sounds weird, but hopefully that makes sense, right? But if you look at it, right, Fremantle have a host of picks. Right, so if you look at it, Carlton, let's just say Carlton's is pick 16, all right? You would be looking at that at value, that's 1067, right? I would be happy for Carlton to trade 16 next year, say, and then I would be looking at the sides with a couple of picks in that range in the 20s, right? So looking at that, a good little trade would be, let's see if we can think of a future trade for you. A future trade. I would say, like, you could see Carlton doing something like 16. You could see Carlton doing something like 16 and 60 for 29, 33, and 47 from Adelaide in the next draft. Do you know what I mean? You could see something like that, because that helps both sides out. Carlton get the points. I mean, I could even see Carlton taking it, because where they are, it would be more logical for Carlton to trade a future 2025 to get a second that year to match the Camparellis, and then get 2 first-rounders, effectively 3, which is what Western Bulldogs do. That's the logical way, if Carlton are intelligent, which I'm sure Nick Austin is ahead of it, to do it, because Carlton then can manipulate the system and get a few picks. Ashton Mott, 100% it would. And we talked about that on the Blue Abroad show, that traditional forwards that just kick goals, he's ambidextrous, whatever that is. Whatever ambidextrous is of feet. Is ambidextrous feet? It is as well. Can it be? Who cares? Ambidextrous, he kicks with both feet just equally as well. So, incredible. Harry O'Fowl, he's about 15. Yeah, I just think it makes more sense. Give them a chance to trade in players. So, Richmond could be an interesting one. But yeah, you know what? On Sydney's academy, I am shocked that their academy is so good that no one ever steals their junior coaches. Like, if I was Tasmania, I would be throwing money at Sydney's academy coaches to come in and coach our state league side now for when we get in there. Because they've been promised, what? Is it 8 picks over the first 2 years in the first round? 8 picks a year? Makes sense to take Tasmanian kids, doesn't it? 2 years of them being trained by them. Imagine how good they could be. Phenomenal. But, chat, I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope we've covered a few questions. Stay tuned this week. I will be doing a full draft. We've also got LekDog and a couple of special guests being guest list managers. We're going to do a live mock draft with bid matches, trading, and everything. Do you know what I mean? And moving on. We'll be doing that. Moving on into the draft. We'll be live streaming the draft. We'll do a live recap of the draft both nights like we did last year. Loads of draft content coming through. If you've got any questions, please message me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email pominozYT@gmail.com. But thank you very much, right, for doing it. If you've got any people you want me to try and get on for interviews, let me know. I've seen Nick Austin. I know he's scared of the media. He likes to keep it quiet. Derek Hine, you never know. Leave me a comment. But honestly, thank you very much, chat. I love you. I will see you tomorrow with a draft pick. If you've got any questions, though, please let them be known. We'll cover it. And look forward to the live draft. That will be the next live on this channel. Come and stay tuned for that. It's always good fun. But thank you very much, chat. Love you to pieces.